Hey guys, we're back for another week. I'm here at my favorite spot at the Boca Grande Sandbar. That's the trestle. This is where everybody hangs out on the weekends, pulls your boat out there. You can see it's beautiful, shallow water. You can wade through it. Watch the tides when you go out here if you're new to boating, but that's not why we're here. So let's get to what we're going to, which is talking about whether or not corporations are going to take away your ability to own a home in Florida. Home ownership is hijacked, or it's being hijacked by Wall Street. And there is about 117,000 single family homes. They're now owned by institutional investors, and we're seeing the home ownership rates slipping. Okay, well, this comes back to the question that I've been asked over and over and over. Is this a good time to buy? There is no good time or bad time to buy. And I know a lot of people are going to have something to say about that, but it's true because we truly don't know, number one, how low a property is going to go, and we don't know how high that property is going to go. I've been doing this 21 years. I've seen both sides of it. What really matters is how long are you holding the home? Because if you're somebody that's just coming in trying to flip something or do a short-term rental for a little bit to try it out, this is not that time. If you're somebody that's coming here and you're moving here and you know it for a fact that you want to live here, don't worry about it. If rates go down further, refinance. We'll be able to discuss whether it makes sense or not on your ROI. So you're going to get a return on the investment. That's what the ROI means. And if you find that you're going to recoup your money within, 2 or 3 years, then refinance because you're going to be there longer. That is what this market is for right now. If you, again, are an investor trying to come in and fix something and flip it, most of the good properties for that have been done. If you're looking for other opportunities, I'm sure they're out there if you dig deep enough. But this market, we've got a ton of people that are actually pulling their home off the market and using it another way. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. But let's keep going. What the concern is with this is that with all the corporations that are owning these properties now, the ability to get a home is very difficult. So they're thinking that everything's going to end up turning towards a rental situation. It's going to be subscription living, like they're saying. So you're going to pay every month for this thing that you're never going to own. And some of the names that you will see is again, Wall Street backed, but Blackstone's in there. That's absolutely a very big corporation. It's bought a lot of homes. American Homes and Invitation Homes, I don't know as well, but these are some of the companies that are investing in Florida properties. So if they're investing in properties in Florida and they're corporations and they have people that are examining the data on this and they're still purchasing here, but why would they do that? Why would you buy something when the market's bad? Because they are going to hold the properties for a longer period of time. They're not in this for the short game. They're in it for the long game. So they're going to buy now. Whatever happens with the rates, they'll deal with. And I know what everyone's saying. Yeah, but they've got so much money to do that. It's not a big deal to them. Oh, it's a very big deal to them. The reason why they're in business is only about money, and everything comes down to a net number. So let's just push that aside. We're going to keep moving on this, but just remember, they're buying. Why aren't you? And if we keep going down here, we're going to also see that there's nearly 905,000 low-income renting households in the state. They're considered cost burden because they're paying more than 40% of their income towards rent. Well, that's something that you do what you got to do, right? And there are people that buy homes that don't have good credit, don't have assets, and they're kind of in the same boat. But then you have the other people that do have good credit and do have assets, and there are some programs that'll let them borrow up into the high 40 percentile range. So it's not abnormal to have that happen, but that's with people that have a strong backing. They're allowed to do that thing, and that's something that the lender has to talk to the underwriter about in order to even make it happen. So this is a situation that really can't be controlled. But as you keep going down here, they're also saying the median rent in Florida soared by $500 a month between 2019 and 2023. Well, isn't that the last boom that we had? When everything goes up, so will rent. So if house prices go up, rent goes up. If those two things go up, so does everything else. We've been complaining about gas prices, and we've been complaining about taxes and insurance and food. Everything goes up, everything goes down. They do it at different times, but they're all in a cycle. It's going to happen. So when you're looking at the pricing, they're saying it went from 1239 to 1719. Okay, so are you expecting to buy a home for that monthly payment? That's an ask. That's a big ask. And I'd be very interested to know whether this is just P&I, which is principal and interest, or if this is PITI, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. That is going to be a big one. So rent is one thing. You got one expense. When you have a home, you have the multiples. You have the taxes, insurance stacked on top. Okay, so this is our Cape Coral MLS that will show you prices of homes start at 184.7 and quickly jump at 207. And then it'll just kind of flounder around in the middle 200s and it'll cap out at 270. Now, again, most of these prices can still be negotiated, but you see the number of homes. There's 50 of them that fit that price range, right? So we have another tool that we use. We go up here and we're going to look at financial calculators because we want to know how much of a home can I afford. So if you're looking for a payment of, let's just say 1,500, we're going to split the difference on the numbers that we just saw. The number of payments, well, if we're buying and you want the lowest payment, you're not going to get a 15-year loan, right? You're not going to get a 10-year loan. You're going to get a 30-year loan. That's 360 payments that they're going to make. And the interest. Well, interest right now, let's see. What's an affordable interest rate? It says it fell to 6.13. I'm going to say that's probably generous. Most people, based on credit and things like that, and their debt, they may not get that rate, but they're going to be somewhere in the low sixes. So let's jump back over here. We're going to say, let's just say 6.25. Is that fair? I think that's fair. So we're going to compute that. That says that they can go up to 243,618, right? So 243,000. Let's see. That takes us probably to the 250 range. I think we can negotiate from there. And you know what? Heck, with Eric working with me, I think that we're going to be able to negotiate down from even up into the 260s. That's reasonable, okay? If you're on the market for, let's just say we got a property that's on the market for 224 days, like this one, do you think they might be ready to take an offer? So at 255, 243, we got $12,000 to work with. I think we can get that deal done. So at this point, they'll have a $1,500 a month payment. So once again, I come back to the question. If you can't afford that number, are you ready for a house? I don't know. And rent here, rent is no better. Let me go and show you what I found for rent. So rent, that's kind of why I use that number. It starts at 1,500. And again, this isn't all the rentals we have. This is just a portion of them, but this is for single family homes because most people do not want a condo. They don't want to share a wall. They don't want rules and associations and kind of people knowing their business. So you want a single family home. You got privacy. You got a place to kind of hang out. You don't have to share walls. You can play your music as loud as you want, and you can watch whatever TV show on whatever volume level you want with a subwoofer, like I have. Anyway, so you can see you start at 1,500, but you quickly go up into 1,600 and 1,700. All right. There's 702 total rentals, and this is the lowest that you can get. And this search was only done for Cape Coral. So it says there's a lot of rentals here, but pricing is still going to be a challenge. Oh, right here. So now we're going to talk about, it says that the forecast suggests Florida's housing market is cooling. Well, of course it's cooling. It's been cooling. Prices are stabilizing though, even though it took a little longer to sell. They're saying 74 days in the third quarter of 2025, up from 58 days the previous year. However, I think that we're closer to 90 days. So this is kind of a blanket coverage over the state, but that's not the biggest problem in all this. You want to see the biggest problem? That's huge. Highest homeowners insurance premiums, which saw a 54% increase during the last 5 years. Mortgage insurance is one of the worst things that you want to get tied behind. If you don't understand it, it's something that's easy to get blinded by because what they do is this usually comes from an FHA loan, which is offering you a loan at a lower deposit amount. So your down payment is going to be 3.5% to 5% on average, much lower amount of money down. And The payment generally looks pretty at the beginning, but when they tack that homeowner's insurance onto it, that's usually a couple $100. And adding a couple $100 onto what you just saw is going to make it unaffordable again, isn't it? But that's the price of getting a home. So once again, are corporations really taking over, or are the people that are wanting these homes just not able to get them because they don't qualify? It's our responsibility also to do what we need to do to get the home. I need to have good credit. I need to make a decent living with my pay. I need to show that I have assets, and I need to not have debt. I don't want debt. I'm not going to be buying the newest cell phone and going into debt over that. I'm not going to get the most expensive car I can that has a massive payment that's going to take me forever to pay off, because that's again a massive debt that goes against you. So if you position yourself properly, this may not be as big of a problem. You put a little bit more money down. When I say a little bit, it's not really a little bit. To get away from mortgage insurance, you need 20% down. So that could be a significant chunk. I would say if you're somebody that doesn't want to deal with homeowners insurance and absolutely knows you're going to buy, then start saving now because you're going to need it. So what they're saying as Florida moves forward is that they think it's going to be difficult for Florida housing, and I can understand why it's going to take a year or two for this all to clear out. But our desirable climate will continue to attract new residents, sustaining the demand for housing. And this is what I see all the time. I just spoke with Eric and Ava this morning about they're selling their home in Boston, Massachusetts. It closes next week. And guess where they're moving? Cape Coral, Florida. But why, Craig? Why would they move there? Because we have Gulf access homes in their price range. They can move their 1031 down here and continue to live the life that they want. Massachusetts was nice. They loved Boston. They loved just close to everything. We had a great conversation today. Thank you guys for taking the time. But the one thing I'm hearing from them is they want this climate. They want this lifestyle. They want to be boaters. They want to hang out in the sun, feel the rays on their skin, and just smile through it all. No more snow, no more miserable temperatures. Florida is a very unique place. They've been here a number of times. They love Marco Island. But you know what, Marco Island, I can't afford Marco Island either. It's a very expensive place. So what do? They found another area that gave them everything they wanted, and they found Cape Coral. They've been here numerous times, and now they're going to call it home. All right, let's get on to the next thing, which is the great pullback. This is where Florida sellers are abandoning selling their home because they can't get the price they want. So they're going to turn to renting it out, unwilling to lower the sales price. And the unfortunate part is they're probably going to ask more than what we just saw for the rental as well. Because with all the rentals that are out there, the hundreds that I mentioned, there's only a handful that stay within 1,700. So it's going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult for the sellers and difficult for the buyers. So what this originally started out as was a strategy to pivot from selling to renting to at least recoup some of the money. Now, what's interesting about this is that the people will have already had to move, right? They either went back home or they bought another house, because you can't rent out the home if you're using it. So that brings a whole nother problem. If they can't get this rented out, they're carrying two mortgages now. Um, I've had people, unfortunately, that have sold the home at a loss only because they couldn't afford to continue on two homes. So these people they're in a difficult situation, and it's not going to get any better. This is a debt that they have to take care of. So the only people that really are going to make out in this one is if you have the house paid off or a very low mortgage. Now, according to Redfin, Florida median home price is $403,000. I believe we're still in that middle 300. So once again, each market in Florida is a little different. We're kind of more in the 350-ish range for the median sales price. But they're saying it's a slight decrease from the previous year. I mean, very slight, 0.17%. That is tiny. And they're saying that also that there's a surge. I don't know if I can say it's a surge, but the active listings went up 5.1% year over year. They say the homes that sold fell by 7.7%. So less of them selling, more going on the market. So again, more opportunity. It's just a matter of finding the affordability in it. And the way they explain this is that for some sellers, delisting is a temporary tactical move, allows them to reset their listing days in the market. Now, this is a facade. I want to talk about this because if your agent is telling you, hey, there's a home on the market, it says 0 days or it says 2 days, man, it's new, it's hot, it's on the market. No, it may not be. Go to the history of the property, and I'm going to show you what I mean by history of the property. So if we see something that's been on a long time here, we have a little button that allows us to look at the history, all right? And you can see they tried last year to sell it at, 335 is where they started. They ended at 313. Then they picked up the following, so they dropped it in August. They said, you know what, we want to go through the holidays and not be bothered. Well, let's relist when season comes because then everybody's here. Somebody's going to take it. So what they do? They relisted it at a lower price, 279. Well, where are they now? 255. They keep going down and down and down. What they should have done is they should have started this price back here. Don't overprice your home. That is the biggest mistake you can make. And you can see here as an example, this person tried to reset everything, tried to make it look like a new listing, but every single property in the MLS has this history in it. So if you ever doubt what information you're being given, ask for the history on the property. And I would even ask them to pull it up right in front of you and show you, because that is a key part of understanding what's going on with the property. Because if it's been on repetitively with different agents at different prices, there's a lot more going on there than you think. And you might want to do your due diligence on that one to be sure that you're not going to be stuck in a situation. Okay, so it does say it allows them to reset their listing days in the market, making the property appear fresh, like I said. And then when they relist it later, often during seasonal peak in the fall or winter, that's what they're trying to do. It's just trying to trick the system, thinking that it's going to be new when they relist. Okay, so this pivot to the rental pane, there are a few key factors that are driving the calculation. If you come down here, we can see these are the kinds of situations. Substantial equity. Like I said, if somebody's already paid off or has a very low payment, this is much easier for them to pivot to a rental. Not everybody's doing that. Not everybody can do that. If you purchased in the last, well, hell, within the last 5 years, we just saw that everything exploded in the last 5 years. So if you bought, I'd say within the last 3 years is where it really started popping. It's going to be tough for you to do this. Unless you paid cash in the beginning or put a big down payment, you're going to have a sizable mortgage that still needs the rent to cover it, right? We do still have a strong rental demand. If you didn't know it, Cape Coral alone has about 12 apartment buildings, and we're not stopping. There's more coming. Duplexes are being built all the time. Single family homes are still being built for the purpose of renting. So there's going to be more rentals because people, as you just saw, may not be able to afford buying. So if you're going to come down here with the thought of getting a house to rent out, the competition is going to be there. If you're going to be higher priced than what we showed, you need to be in that bottom, I'd say bottom quarter of home prices in order to have a chance. And then we look at the cost of holding that home. It gets expensive because guess what? Florida's struggling with the highest homeowner insurance premiums in the nation, and they've skyrocketed the last few years. This is very true. Some of the other things that goes on, obviously, is maintenance, potential HOA fees. So if you're buying in a community that has an HOA, that's even worse because now you got to cover that cost as well, right? And this is unfortunate. It happened once and everybody remembers it now, but the impact of Florida storms against the rental income. First of all, the storms, we don't get storms every year. I've been here for 31 years. I've been through probably 7 storms in 31 years. That doesn't tell me it's going to impact me every year, does it? This article does, though. So again, this is a fear-based thing. Please don't believe everything you read and everything you hear because it's not all true. All right, so the next thing is the trend of delisting and converting in rentals. As you can imagine, it does present a whole nother problem because now there's less homes on the market to purchase. So these folks, they will rent, and when they're ready to make the shift, they're not going to have very many choices. if you think about it, our current listings that are on the market are probably just around the 3,000 mark. But if all these people start pulling off and putting them up as rentals, that number could drop to 2,500. It could drop to 2,000. That sounds like a lot of homes, correct? Well, it's not. 2,500 homes have a lot of different types, right? You could be 1,000 square feet. You could be 5,000 square feet. You could be 250,000. You could be 2 million. That includes every property on our market. And yes, we have some very expensive homes here, and you already saw the lowest price. There's a lot of stuff in the middle, though. If you're looking anywhere in the 350 to 750 range, tons of homes in there. So while they exist, you have specific things that you want out of your home, right? Like when I was talking to Eric and Ava, they were very specific. We want a home that is not in a flood zone. We want a dock and a lift. We want to be out within 30 minutes. We prefer direct access. We know we don't like the Southeast because it might be a little older, not quite fit our style, and it's very busy. They really don't want very busy. They want to be close to things, but not necessarily like on a busy road. Well, anything on a busy road means a well-trafficked road, and we have many of those. And there are a lot of listings that sit on those busy roads. So when they started going through and taking everything out, the list of homes gets really small really fast. I mean, you might have 20 some homes to start with. Then you have to start picking through those. So now you're picking through and you don't like the colors. You don't like the landscaping. You don't like the layout inside. You don't like that it has carpet everywhere. That's the choices I'm talking about. So 3,000 homes is not as much as you think it is when it gets down to your specific needs. All right, so we already kind of started here earlier when we were making the example, but the Fed did cut the rates. People were super excited. They said that everybody started refinancing again, which I think is highly unlikely. I've got a buddy that is a mortgage lender, and he went on social media telling everybody, do not go and refinance right away. Just don't do it. I mean, we're looking at the potential. I think I might have an article here to share with you where they're talking about the potential of the mortgage rates to get in the fives at the beginning of next year. Will that happen? I don't know. It sounds unlikely, but anything could happen. I mean, again, I don't have a crystal ball, but given this rate change, they wanted to just go through kind of what payment would look like. And based upon their situation, they're using the average rate of 613, 30-year fixed loan on 350,000. What's the mortgage come out to? 2127. Now, if you can't afford 1,700, how are you going to afford 2127? This basically says you're locked into renting in perpetuity. So this lower rate thing still isn't going to help a lot of people. And again, our prices, there's some in the 250 range. So if you can find those, remember, corporations are coming and buying up homes. So if they get bought up on that lower end and you're in the 350 range, now your payment is way out of range. So these are things you have to think about. Now, to give you an idea of differentials, when the rates were 7.04% in January, still on the same 350 loan, the loan would have been 2337. So $100 and change more, not a big difference. And that's almost a full percentage point with a very small payment difference. So is it going to kill you? Not necessarily, but this is where I said, if you save money and put it away, put more money down, drop that payment. Now it's affordable. Problem is the people that aren't affording those 1,700 rental rates probably don't have that money saved. So again, it's a very difficult situation. Do we have an answer yet? No. They're talking about affordable housing, putting it up so that we can base their rent on their income. And we just have so few projects like that in the area right now. There is a developer that has been trying to get multiple buildings opened up for a lower income situation so that we can put these people into affordable housing, but it has to be approved by the city. And there's a lot of hoops to jump through to get that done. But there are people trying to fix this. We just don't know if it's going to happen or when it's going to happen. All right, so we're seeing the 7% interest rate is getting us $23,37.97 as a payment, right? Well, if we come down here and we look at refinancing, and now you have a 667. Does that sound like it makes sense to do refinance from 704 to 667? I mean, it literally made the payment 2251. So refinancing here makes no sense. There are fees for refinancing, and for you to make that money up for that small difference, it's probably not worth it. I'd say you need to be closer to a point difference. When mine got close to, I think it was just a little bit more than 1% interest difference when I refinanced. I refinanced because I started with an FHA with PMI, private mortgage insurance. So that's why I know it so well to be able to tell you I got rid of it. All I did was refinance. I spent a few $1,000s. Yes, a few $1,000s refinance, but the return on that was going to happen within 2 to 3 years. Well, guess what? I'm not going anywhere. I have a nice home in a nice neighborhood, lots of space. There's no need for me to move anywhere else. So when you talk about refinance, make sure again you're going to stay in the property long enough for it to make sense. Otherwise, don't bother. Okay, so in this particular article, they're saying that the 30-year fixed mortgage rate went down to 626. So a little bit higher than what we had shown you in the article, but right where we were when we did the example. We did 625, this is 626. So right there. Now, they also say that the lower home prices are helping. It's down 7% since the peak in 2022. Okay, 7%. It's a little bit of money. That helps. Once again, that's spread over 30 years. So I don't know how much you're going to see as far as that goes, but yeah, okay, we'll buy that. They're talking about affordability conditions improving for 4 straight months and now having the lower mortgage rates, that it should give a stronger economic boost to be able to have these buyers buy homes, but not so sure it's going to work that way. New homes, there's been a surge. Well, if they're giving all these promotional things and truly, you know, doing the things that I'm hearing out there, like short selling their homes. I don't think builders short sell homes, but there are videos out there. Put it in YouTube, find out about short selling homes. It's very unlikely that's the case. However, this is telling us that there's a surge in the new home sales. 20.5% for the month and 15.4 year over year in August. That's a bigger number. So yes, it looks like the builders are doing enough incentives to get things moving. So that is a good sign. The mortgage demand will always spike whenever there's a rate adjustment because people go crazy. Oh my gosh, we can get a 6.26 now when it was 7% before. Well, I just showed you the price difference or the payment difference is not that much, especially if you're in the lower price range. Now, if you're in a higher price range, like 800,000 or something, it's going to make a bigger difference. But in any case, it says that the mortgage applications rose 9.2% at the end of the week of September 5th. And that wasn't even when the big adjustment came. So that was a slight adjustment. And this newest adjustment, it's not big per se, but it's more than where it was. And mortgage applications jumped another 29.7% with this last adjustment. That's significant. But again, it's not that big of a spread. So again, if it's something that they feel strong about, then let them have it. This is shocking. We just talked about how people go crazy about refinancing over even smallest adjustments. More people are jumping on the refinance of the homes, and look what it says. Refinancing was up 42% year over year at the end last week. That's crazy. 42%. Once again, just like the lender advised everybody on his social media, don't refinance right now. Rates are supposed to go down. Have you not heard that they're supposed to have a couple more adjustments just this year alone? And they're supposed to adjust again next year? I mean, is it worth waiting for it? I would think so. I mean, again, you're paying for each refinance, but these are personal decisions and everybody has their own situation to deal with. Now, the refinance volume increased further last week and is now 80% higher than 4 weeks ago. Anyway, that's the whole deal on refinance. The housing market roaring back. I don't know if it's actually roaring back because the adjustment is still small. Once we get a bigger adjustment, that may change. All right, guys, so that kind of wraps up what's going on here in the housing market. Corporations, yes, they're taking over homes. Will they be competition for you? Possibly. Have the rates come down? Yes. Is it making a big difference? Not yet. The perception is that it is, but not yet. I would say pump the brakes on the refinance. And if you're somebody relocating and you're going to be here for a period of time, don't worry about the rates. 5 years, a lot of things can change. Rates could go up even higher. Where everybody's thinking lower, 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 lower. There's also higher. So let's just take advantage of what we can in the moment. Just like Eric and Ava are coming down and getting a home, we're going to help them get the best home we can for the money. And you know what? I asked them specifically, are you going to hold this short term or long term? They're like, oh, no, no, we're going to retire in that house. And I know I've heard people say things like that in the past. However, if they truly stick to that, it really doesn't matter what their interest rate is right now. If it goes down, they can refinance. If it goes up, they're going to say, yay, we got a great rate. Let's not worry about that part of it. If you need to move to the area to relocate for a job, or you just want to live this fantastic life, go ahead and do what everybody else is doing. Call, text, email. You can check out one of these other videos. Anything that I can do to help you, let me know. Call and text are the best ways to get me, but we can do a Zoom call. We've got an app that can help you do property searches. But all those things, all those tools are there for you to have a great experience, because I've got your back when moving to the Gulf Coast.